Doesn't sound like a Christian idea, but actually, in the Bible, God commanded his people to rest every seventh day, right? You heard of the Sabbath, right? So there's this concept in it, living a godly life, that one must rest at the end of the week. And that was part of, and in fact, it was a sin, and it still is for people who were like hardcore Jewish. They still on like Saturdays, which is actually their Sabbath, they will not work. They will not. Some people won't even flip a light switch on. Like it gets very intense depending on how strictly you follow the code. And in the Old Testament of the Bible, right, the Jewish people did not rest for 490 years. So they were supposed to rest once every week, and then every seventh year, they were supposed to stop working the land. The land is resting. We were the problem, and they didn't do it for almost 500 years. So as a consequence, as the Bible records it, they were forced to go into exile. They were captured by another nation, and they were in captivity for 70 years, basically paying back the time of rest so that their land got to rest. Now, that sounds a little crazy. That's not a Bible story you typically hear. But the point I'm trying to make is that rest is actually crucial to the way humans were created. Indulge me, if you're not a Christian, indulge me in the idea that what if we had a creator? And what if there was an intention to the way we were designed that required rest? I think people can relate to the idea that you're going so hard and you're trying to make things happen for yourself to the point where you're working to your own detriment. You ever work so hard or keep going in one path so long that that you're actually harming yourself? Like efficiency is going through the floor. Like I went to film school, right? And if you don't know, in the film industry, like people who are making movies and TV shows, a 12-hour day is pretty standard, is like minimum. So these guys are working up to 14, 16-hour days, and there's been talk about, putting limits on that, unions, limiting how late they work, but it's like there's so much money invested in filming, and they're just trying to get as much done as they can. And a professor of mine who had worked in the film industry told me, he said, after 12 hours anyway, efficiency really just goes through the floor. It's like, people are there, but everybody's working so much slower. They're so much dumber. It's, and there's times for working hard. There's certainly seasons where you're going to work harder than others. But I would propose that rest is a part of how we're wired and how we're created.